Hi, today we're going to talk about automating incidents with an accurate CMDB using ScienceLogic's automation engine for AI ops. Joining me today is John Wilsey, our Senior Solution Architect. John, welcome.
Thank you, Leslie.
So one of the challenges that organizations have had is, they all want to automate. Like today, there's so much going on in IT today that they can't afford to do everything the way they used to, very manually, very, very time consuming. And so they want to automate, but they don't trust the data. And most organizations won't automate if they don't trust the data. So how is it that ScienceLogic helps solve this problem?
Well, ScienceLogic helps because we are able to go and discover all the different infrastructure that's out there, regardless of the technology type. It might be cloud-related technology, could be traditional legacy data center technology, it could be a hybrid environment.
Right.
So whether it's an AWS or whether it's on a VMware or Nutanix, doesn't matter. We can bring all that data together, and we do the discovery in real time. And what that means for a CMDB, such as, say, ServiceNow, is we're able to discover and then populate all that information in real time and keep it up to date, versus something like a daily or maybe a every other day type of discovery.
Okay. Now you mentioned a lot of technologies. Do we also support applications and services?
So with SL1, we've introduced new application monitoring that we do natively, as well as also the ability to support popular APM tools that people may have already deployed on their homegrown applications.
Okay, and so we're bringing in configuration information, we're also bringing in relationship data, and we're populating all of that in the CMDB, right?
Yes.
Okay, great. So having that information in the CMDB allows you to automate. Because if you don't have that information in the CMDB, you can't create a ticket, for example, or an incident when something goes wrong, correct?
Right.
Okay, all right. Well, why don't you walk us through sort of the process that might occur in an environment where something goes wrong and we can help them with that automation process.
Well, here what we're going to do is we're just going to start off at a typical event console. So an operator has an issue in the system, typically an event will fire, and depending on the type of event or severity, there will typically be a rule in place that will tell SL1 this is important, we want to go ahead and open up an incident within the CMDB. And here you can see the ticket numbers are listed over here that actually tie to that external system. So what we'll do is we're going to actually drill into one of these and we'll take a look at what that looks like. In this case, we'll look at ServiceNow. All right, so here we're in ServiceNow, and this is the incident. And we can see a few things. So first of all, the incident number is created that matches what was in the event console. And we have that short description. And this matches exactly, there was typically a problem, typically some sort of threshold violation or out of normal condition that triggered us to go ahead and create an incident. Now, one of the first and most important things we do is when we create the incident, we align it to the configuration item. So this configuration item is already in ServiceNow because we've already done the discovery and we've synchronized it. And in cases of something like an ephemeral technology like VMware or cloud-based instances, these may move around as well. So this is real time, so it's always up to date. If it's not in real time, what can happen is you can start to create incidents, yet there's no CI, right? If it hasn't been discovered yet by some other process. So ScienceLogic, because we have this real-time patented discovery that we can synchronize to CMDBs, it really makes everything a much better trusted environment.
Okay, and that allows you then to automate the incident process. So that's great. So what else can you do with the solution?
Yeah, so another thing that happens is through our automations that we have is we can do what we call enrichment. And in ServiceNow, they're listed as activities. So for instance, I just did a basic example here, some network tests. So if there's a problem with a system or a problem with a network device, we can go ahead and run automations against it. That might be some very basic troubleshooting. So for instance, if a problem happens at 6 in the morning, someone's not looking at it right away, an operator comes in at 8 and they say, oh, we had a problem, it happened at 6. What did it look like at 6 o'clock? So we can do some basic diagnostics that maybe we're going to log into a box and check disk capacity. Maybe we're going to look at a network path with a trace route, various different things. Anything that can be scripted, we can go ahead and automate that and put it into one of these enrichments. And then throughout the day, maybe at 7, 8, 9, or maybe update every half hour, they can say, all right, what's changed? Has it actually progressed or changed, got better or worse since it first fired off early this morning?
Okay.
So we also can show the affected CIs. These came from our relationship discovery that we did with VMware. Now here there's a few different CIs. We know that this Linux web server is part of a Linux web stack. It's running on vCenter, so that's some basic information. But we also can do much more information here with regards to the maps. So if we look at the map, all right, so initially we'll go and load up the map and we can see those initial relationships, but we've actually synchronized the entire VMware environment. So here we have the first 3 CIs we saw earlier, but we can also take a look at the entire VMware environment. So if we do a view map, this actually loads the dependency map. Now this is the ServiceNow view of those dependencies. So these are the VMware relationships, and these all came from the parent-child relationships that we found during discovery. So beyond the 3 that we started off with, we actually have the entire VMware map in here because we discover all the parent-child relationships. We're able to synchronize that into the CMDB. So when an operator, when their view of the world is that CMDB, they now can see how things are related.
So in other words, the one piece of infrastructure or application that is experiencing a problem, you can now see not only that it was having a problem, but you can see how it fits into the rest of the infrastructure, for example, or the rest of the application or service while you're in ServiceNow.
Correct.
And that's all populated by ScienceLogic.
Yep, and we're doing it in real time. So if there is an event that happens throughout the day, which can happen very frequently in a VMware or an AWS type cloud environment, we pick it up versus it being out of sync because it was only discovered daily.
That's a pretty powerful capability, and I would think that folks who are wanting to automate are going to want to understand that context, because one of the challenges that we hear often from customers is that when they go to automate something, they don't want to automate at the lowest level. They want to automate based on an understanding of the context and the implication, as we've talked about in some of the earlier videos, about the impact on the service or the impact on the application, and not trigger those automations at multiple levels where they might conflict with one another.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So based on all this information now, so we've automated an incident, we've synchronized the CMDB. Is there anything else that we're able to do here?
Yeah. So one other thing I wanted to point out is when we do the synchronization, it's not just a one-way synchronization, but it's a bi-directional synchronization. Now I've just done a little preview here of some of the information you see, but for instance, we have an asset tag information. We didn't discover that from the device. That came from some other system, right? Someone probably went around with a barcode scanner, scanned the device, that went into the CMDB, right? We, for instance, would have discovered the serial number. We picked that up right off the device. Okay. So in some cases, ScienceLogic will be the authority because we're getting the information off the wire. We want to synchronize that into the CMDB. In other cases, whether it be the asset tag or maybe a contract, a maintenance, maintenance contract, is it still under warranty? We want to take that from ServiceNow and synchronize to ScienceLogic. So if it's 2 in the morning, an operator's working trying to solve a problem, they want to know who's the vendor, is it under warranty, and those sorts of things. So they can go find that in ServiceNow, or they could find that in ScienceLogic, because we can do that bi-directional sync where you can choose which direction, which piece of information should go based on where is the best authority for that data.
Right. That's very powerful, and having that consistency within the 2 data sets, the ScienceLogic data lake with your CMDB, allows you to do other types of automations and things that we've seen our customers are already starting to do, is automate their configuration management processes, their change management processes, compliance management, capacity management, and more. So the fact that the data is accurate, up to date, and consistent in those environments enables those processes to be automated more fully. Yep. So great. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate your time today. And if anyone wants to find out any more about our incident automation capabilities, where should they go?
They should go to ScienceLogic.com.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.